provide a long-range vision for alternative transit in Columbus. Include target milestones for 5, 10, and the 20-year marks. This may be the most important thing we do in the city of Columbus.
So as Mayor Coleman mentioned, we had a really broad range topic. So we were really able to look at a bunch of different alternative modes of transit. So our team went through and we divided it into So we looked at all modes of transportation, alternative transportation, and we split it into pedestrian improvement, bike, bus, and rail, which I know Mayor Coleman is the most excited about. So we're going to first take a look at how we can improve pedestrian walkability in the city. And we looked at specifically pedestrian plazas. So this is kind of going even more specific to what the previous team looked at. Our inspiration was from 4 places. 4th Street in downtown Cleveland, which many of you guys have probably been to. It's a bar district. It also has really kind of mid-density building improvements, and it boasts one of the most high rent districts for apartments and one of the lowest vacancy rates. And we see this kind of really reflected in the Columbus community and something that we can duplicate. The next one is the Porch, which is in Philadelphia. Similar demographics to Columbus. This one's outside of a transit station. This converted a roadway similar to 4th Street into just a 2-lane road. They put a big cement plaza in the center. Not very exciting, except for they bumped it up with a lot of programming, including farmers markets and musicians and even like a mini putt-putt course, I think. The next one is from across the country or across the world to Vienna, Austria. This one was originally started in 1974. So a lot of pedestrian plazas popped up in this time frame and didn't survive. I think that one of the things that really worked with this one was that they had other transit to get you there rather than a car. So there was bus stops and rail stops incorporated into this plaza, so you didn't have to park just to walk. And I'd really like to see that in Columbus. And the last one was in New York. And this kind of proves that if you can take cars out in New York City, you can really do it anywhere. They closed down Times Square one way down Broadway Avenue for pedestrian use only. And they did this by just putting up some lawn chairs for 7 months to see how it would work. And if they can do it, we can do it. So using trials to see if it's going to work before you invest the money is really important. So how can this apply in Columbus? We picked 3 streets, pretty well-known ones, for areas that we can see this happening. The first is the Short North during Gallery Hop. This is just one night a month that we're asking people to not drive down High Street, allow a little bit more of a free flow between galleries. You don't have to walk in a single file line from one to one, and you can have conversations with people as you walk between. And it's just a couple hours on the first Saturday of every month. The next one is Park Street. This is a really well-known bar district for people, a lot of people our age, I'm sure. We'd like to see this closed down on Friday and Saturday evenings. It would improve safety, and it would also just really make the space a destination rather than you're just going to a bar. You're going to Park Street to go party. And the last one and the most permanent is Gay Street. This is the one that I really find similarities to 4th Street, mid-density buildings, kind of underutilized at this moment, but there's great start, especially at the street level. There's restaurants that are great. They have programming with Pearl Street Market and Moonlight Market. And I think that closing this down to auto use in general would really be a good thing for people that are downtown during the day and people that we're hoping, moving into downtown to live there full time. So once you get to these destinations, wayfinding is really important, and the other team talked about this a little bit. I think that we have a good start in Columbus. There are signs that you can find. They're unified. They have a big eye on top, and the information is really good on each of these signs. They have down to a specific restaurant that you can go to. We would like to see you to be able to take this with you when you go. So maybe with a QR code, you can take the map with you as you're walking down the street. It can point out what's next to you. You can click on each item to kind of get some more information about all the destinations. And it'll really help improve your experience, especially if you're a visitor in Columbus. This would also allow the city to get feedback of how people are using this, where people are looking to go, and just really improve the experience overall. So David's going to talk about bike and rail.
Obviously, another alternative mode of transportation that a lot of people are picking up on in Columbus is biking. We see a lot of people biking in and out of the short north, and we have two very obvious avenues that a lot of people use. 3rd and 4th Streets are also very popular for bikers. But we wanted to see in the 5-year plan, we wanted to be a little more aggressive about biking. Columbus is a very green city, thanks to Mayor Coleman's many initiatives. And we thought that other streets that might be more bicycle friendly would be streets like Broad Street, Town Street and Bryden Road, Spring Street and Long Street, Rich Street west of downtown going into Franklinton, 3rd Avenue, Star Avenue to Cleveland Avenue, kind of getting that connector across to the Milo Grogan neighborhood in between the short north there, crossing that gap as the previous group talked about. We thought about Cleveland Avenue, south of 3rd Avenue. It runs right by Columbus State. There's a lot of students there as well. Grant Street and Frankfurt Street as well, all the way cutting down into German Village. And we thought those would be the most immediate places that we could have protected lanes. We feel that one of the big reasons a lot of people don't bike is they don't feel safe biking around cars, which, you know, it can be a bit intimidating. It's a big hunk of metal that's driving real fast at you. But if you have a protected lane, we feel that a lot more people will be feel like they could get more acclimated to biking and using it as a real serious mode of transportation. In the 10-year, we would like to see, on average, about every other street, or at least have a primary section of corridors within a 2-mile radius of downtown that have dedicated bike lanes. If we have a dedicated commuter bicycling network in downtown, I am guaranteeing that we will have the use. There are plenty of people here that would love to bike if they could. I know we have a lot of really dedicated bikers that do bike with all the automobile traffic, but I know there's a huge segment of the population, especially even students up around campus, that would bike a lot more if they felt safer doing so. In the 20-year, we're getting a bit ambitious here. We're thinking that there might be some streets that could be solely reused for public transit, bike, and pedestrian use. So we'd like to close off some streets, as we previously mentioned, some areas in the short north. We could even, here's where we're being ambitious, we could close the short north south of 3rd Avenue all the way down to Goodale as a pedestrian and public transit and bicycle facility only. Could you imagine? Wouldn't that be great? 20 years. It's a great idea though, right? First though, we thought there would be some really basic things that we could do to improve our current bus infrastructure. Riding CODA at sometimes can be frustrating. We all know, but we love CODA, right? So we thought some basic things, basic amenities for the bus system might make it more friendly to our passengers. Obviously overhead shelters with benches. We had real-time display. That's another big one, and I hear that's coming soon. But off-board ticket sales was another big one. How many times has the bus had to sit and wait for a person to fumble through their wallet and find their $2 and feed it through the machine? Well, with an off-board ticket sale, they'd have the opportunity to do that before they got onto the bus and just hand the pass. So it would make CODA a lot more efficient and a lot on time a lot more often. Other things we had that might be good is passenger information, lighting, and trash cans. These are some basic amenities. I can't tell you how many times I've been looking for a trash can when I had a drink with me when I was getting on the bus, and then there was no trash can, and I couldn't throw it away, and I didn't want to litter, and I didn't know what to do. So trash cans obviously would be a good solution to that problem. But in the long term, we've been talking a little bit about bus rapid transit, Cleveland Avenue. Again, off-board revenue collection is another big point that would make CODA a lot more efficient and a lot more rider-friendly. Okay, the big thing everybody wants to talk about, rail. Okay, our first thought, our primary corridor here in Columbus is High Street. Obviously, it runs up and down through the short north, and it has heavy use, both vehicular use and pedestrian use. We would like a north-south connector that runs all the way from Polaris to Rickenbacker Airport. And we envision this going through many different areas, and we have an average distance between the stops of about 2.25 miles, which is generally very efficient for the traveler. At that rate, you could get all the way across town very, very quickly, almost to compete with how fast you get across town in a car. We would work in coordination with COGO and Car2Go for that final mile. So the people that need to go to their last destination, Polaris is not a terribly walkable place, but if you had Car2Go and COGO stations nearby, I could easily hop on into a Car2Go or a COGO and get all the way through there. So that would be an easy way to get around. Then we would also look at an east-west connector that goes all the way from Easton down across Port Columbus. I attended somebody's State of the City address. I had a great idea. But we take that all the way west out to Hollywood Casino. Those are primary destinations, and the city planner in me wants to tell you that destinations are really where transit's going to get its use. People want to take an easy transit option to the favorite destination they want to go to. So on this last page here is our comprehensive plan for alternative transit in Columbus. We show the bicycle networks that we envision, we show the rail lines that we envision, and the primary stops. We have a trifold that we're going to be handing out here. If you guys want to go ahead and start handing that out so you guys can remember our fabulous presentation with all of our great ideas. On the back of it is that map. You can overlook it and see how our center city neighborhoods would be well connected through all of those dedicated bike lanes, that light rail, and in a Columbus where you don't always have to own a car to get everywhere you need to go really, really easily. So those are our good ideas.